Twins, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a marble manicure. I am fully aware that I said marble really weird. Anyways, I have already put my peel base on. I use peel base underneath every single mani. I use UNT or UNT. Big shocker there, I still don't know how to pronounce it. And for today's colors, I am using Rocky Mountain Dip Powders The Princess and Rocky Mountain Dip Powders Eugene. Both colors are absolutely amazing. They just came in, I just got them the other day. And then I did use a little bit of the French white in with the marble. Along with the Rocky Mountain Dip Powders colors, I'm also using Double Dip's clear powder, although I did just see that Rocky Mountain Dip Powder did just come out with a new clear. I have not tried it yet, but I am very excited to. I am using all Rocky Mountain Dip Powders liquids. And if you have not tried their liquids yet, then you definitely need to. One of the best top coats I've used. Absolutely amazing. Super, super shiny and perfect. Okay, so to get started, I am using a French dip tray. You really don't have to get fancy. If you don't have a French dip tray, that's okay. You can use anything that you have laying around the house, maybe a small bowl, a cupcake liner, anything that you can put powder into, and then lay your finger into it. If you've been to my channel before, then you know I will always tell you to make sure to stir your powders before you use them. If you don't stir your powders, then you run the risk of a very clumpy application and the end result just isn't going to look very good. But I will tell you that Rocky Mountain Dip Powders are so fine and fluffy that really I don't run into the problem of the powders compacting. They just seem to be fluffy right out of the jar. But not to build bad habits, make sure you always stir your powder. And when we get started, you want to make sure you start with a thin layer of base coat and make sure that you cover your entire nail. Get as close to your cuticle as you can without getting any liquid on your skin. And you can either dip your finger, pour over the powder, or place your finger on top like I just did here. Either way is fine, but you do want to make sure you clean up your cuticles no matter which method you choose. You can either use a toothpick or an orange wood stick. Either one works just fine. But the goal is to just get any excess powder off of your skin that may have accidentally stuck to in a liquid that you got on your skin. It really does make the world of difference if you have sharp, clean cuticles as opposed to lumpy cuticles that are on your skin. So make sure you clean it up. Same thing for the second nail here. We're just going to do the basic dip application. If you do need a little bit more guidance, I do have another video on my channel that goes more into detail of how to dip. So I won't spend a lot of time on the basic application here, but I will just let you guys watch for a little bit and I will see you back here in a few. Okay, so now I have the first layer of the Princess applied. Now I'm putting on the first layer of Eugene. Making sure, of course, to get full coverage on my nail without getting any liquid on my skin. You guys, I'm not kidding you when I tell you this color is amazing. Both of these colors are amazing, and the camera does not do it justice at all. And if you do get liquid on your fingers, wipe it off. I'm pretty sure I've said that 1,000 times before, but the more I say it, the better. Don't leave liquid on your skin because powder will stick to it. Okay, so I did 2 layers of each color. You can do as many layers as you want, but you want to keep in mind you want to make sure to encapsulate it with a layer of clear. So for whatever reason, clear powder is usually a little thicker than the pigmented powders. So keep that in mind when you're dipping. The key is to use thin layers of liquid. The thinner, the better. I keep saying that also, but I really do mean it. You don't want to have thick, chunky nails because you're going to be spending a lot of time filing at the end. And the least amount of filing, for me anyway, the better. I hate filing. I shouldn't say I hate filing. I hate filing for a long time. How about that? I like actually filing because then I get to shape it and, do whatever, but I don't like filing for too long, or buffing for that matter. Okay guys, I'm going to speed up the video here so that we can get to the marble portion. So I'll let you watch in fast motion for a few. One thing I want to mention here really quick is don't forget to wipe your brush before you put it back into the bottle. Whenever your brush touches any powder or any other liquid, make sure to wipe it on a napkin or a paper towel or a rag or something before you stick it back into the bottle so that you don't contaminate your liquids. Okay, now I'll be quiet and just let you watch for a little bit. Once your nails are dipped in the color, then you want to do a layer of clear powder. This is called encapsulating, and you want to make sure to encapsulate your nails whenever, especially if you have glitter, but if you're going to do any filing or buffing. I encapsulate every mani. The clear powder does make your nails stronger. I mentioned earlier that it's thicker. It's not necessarily that it's thicker, it's that it's stronger. So it does help to protect your nails more, and it also protects your nails from when you are filing or buffing. I feel like I just talked in circles there, so hopefully what I said makes sense. It's getting late. In the interest of time, I cut out the rest of the clear powder portion of the video, but you can watch me dip my thumb in clear powder. I'm definitely not trying to make feature films here. And in case you didn't get the text notification earlier, I am working on my dominant hand, so if it looks like I'm awkward, I am. Alrighty, so now we are officially encapsulated in clear. The next step is to activate it. I activated my nails now instead of waiting until the end. You can do it at the end if you want. I just like to know that everything else was done so that when I did my marble nail, nothing else was going to get messed up and yada yada yada. And this is the stage when I had to decide if I wanted to do a shiny top coat or leave it matte, because this mani really does look good matte. I think anyway. Okay, so now for the marble. You want to start with some clear powder and pour some clear powder into your French dip tray. As I mentioned earlier in the beginning, if you don't have a French dip tray, that's fine. Just find something that you can pour the powder into and something that you'll be able to lay your finger into. After you have the clear powder, then you want to put in some of the color. So I started with the Princess. I just took my cuticle pusher, the other end, with the spoon. You can use whatever. You can use a swatch stick or whatever you can find around your house to scoop up a little bit of it. and just tap it into the clear. I found it was easier once I used my other finger to tap it so that you kind of get almost like spots in the powder. Then I took Eugene and I did the exact same thing, and I just spread it around. I tried not to put the powders in the same spot. It doesn't really matter the placement here because you're going to stir it around anyway, because that's what a marble is. And then I just took the tiniest amount of the French white. Because we're using the clear, I just wanted a little bit of white to show through, and I did the same thing. Also, as a side note, I made sure to wipe the spoon in between scoops so that I didn't contaminate my powders. Then I took the other end of my cuticle pusher and I did little swirlies in the powder. There was absolutely no rhyme nor reason to my swirls. I was just trying to mix the powders together in some kind of fashion. I did try to make sure to only stir the top layer of the powders. I didn't want to go in too deep because I didn't want the colors to go into the clear because I was just going to lay my finger on top of the powder. So try not to mash it in. And then I added a little bit more of the princess just because I feel like it got lost when I stirred the colors around. Then the very important step after all of your colors are mixed in is you want to make sure that your powder lays flat. So I tapped the French dip tray and then I kind of bounced it on the table so that it would be level. And just like with a regular dip application, once the base coat was on my nail, I just placed my finger right on top of the powder, and I did roll my finger around ever so slightly just to make sure that I had coverage on the entire nail. And when I have the flash on when I'm painting my nails, it just makes my colors look super, super bright. So I turned the flash off here so you can see the colors in the natural lighting. And then I prepared the dip tray for the second dip by just making sure that the powder was flat and level again, and then brushed off the excess powder on my nail. I was almost a little disappointed at how good this looked right here because I knew I had to do a second dip and I didn't want to mess it up. But anyways, I did do a second dip. I needed to add a little bit more color to my mixture just to make sure that it was all marbly. So I did put a little bit more of each color in, and I just did the same thing. I just dropped them in spots and then stirred the powder around. Only on the top level though, the top layer, top whatever, just very, very lightly on the top. And if you see here, I really didn't use that much white at all. I just wanted to get just a little bit on there. And it really does not have to be perfect. I cannot stress that to you enough. It's a marble, and natural marble is not perfect. So just stir it around, make sure it's flat, and do your thing. And you still want to make sure that you have a thin layer of the base coat because we are going to still encapsulate it in the clear powder. So as I mentioned earlier, the more layers you have, the thicker your nails will be. So just make sure that you keep your liquid as thin as you can. So I could see where I missed a little bit closer to my cuticle, so I wanted to make sure for this second dip that I really got the entire nail. So you'll be able to see that too when you dip it the first time if you missed any spots where you want to make sure to focus on. So I was pleasantly surprised that the second layer looked just as good as the first layer. I was really worried that it wouldn't come out as good, but I think it actually came out a little better because there was some more green in it, and you can see just a little bit of the white and some of that pink coming through too. So I was definitely pleasantly surprised with this. So I was completely happy with how this turned out, so I just moved on to do the clear powder. If you want to try another layer, of course you can. Just keep in mind, the thinner the better, because otherwise you'll be doing more filing. But really, do it until you're happy with the design that came out. And then it's time for my most favorite part about doing my nails is the activator. The activator is what hardens your nails. If you forget this step, then your nails will never harden, so you won't be able to file them or shape them, and you'll be very upset. So far, so good. Wait for about 2 minutes after you apply the activator, and then bring a file to your nails. I always start with my cuticles and file them down, make sure that they're not too big and too chunky, and then file the shape. I won't make you guys watch filing. I've done filing plenty of times in some of my other videos, so I will fast forward and cut to the end here, but just make sure your nails are shaped the way that you want them. And after you have them shaped, then you want to buff. Buffing is also a really fun part because this is when you make it smooth and soft to the touch. I also won't make you watch me buff my nails, but just make sure that you file or that you buff them so that they're super smooth and like that. That's how I know then they're ready, when I touch them and they're smooth. Also, don't forget to buff underneath your nails, on your sidewalls, and on your free edge. And then when you're done buffing, go wash your hands, get all of the excess dust and powder off of your hands because we are going to activate them again for the second time. Dipping is a science, and you do need to make sure to follow the steps to a T. You do need to activate them twice. And so this is our second time of activating, and voila, here we are. Almost ready for the top coat. I think this design came out really, really pretty. I think the colors go together so perfectly. So for the top coat, I always make sure that I get a fresh napkin or paper towel ready to wipe my brush on. And then I take a lint-free wipe and some alcohol and I wipe my nails. And the purpose of this is to make sure that I get off any excess dust or powder or anything that was left over. But more importantly, that I get the activator off. Any leftover activator needs to come off of your nails. And then I take a dry cloth and then I dry my nails. After I've done all of that, then it is time for the first coat of the top coat. Now the point here is not to make it look perfect, it is to just get the top coat on there. You want to put the top coat on as quickly as you can just to get it on there. Don't worry about it being perfect. We will go in with the second coat and make sure that we get it with the finer details and make sure that it looks beautiful. But for the first coat, just get it on there. And then also make sure that you remember to wipe your brush in between every nail, or at least in between every time you dip the brush back into the bottle. If you accidentally still have any activator left over on your nails and that activator gets on the brush, you will harden your brush and you run the risk of contaminating and ruining the rest of your top coat. So wipe your brush in between every dip. And make sure not to wipe it in the same spot that you've wiped it before, because if you have activator on the napkin, now it's on your brush. After you put the first layer of top coat on, you do want to let it dry for a little bit. You can tell when it's ready for the second top coat because your nail starts to look like it's shrinking, like the top coat is shrinking, like what shrink wrap looks like. You ever remember when you have shrink wrap and you take a blow dryer to it? So you can kind of see here a little bit there in the light where it looks like there's shrink wrap on my nail. That's when you know it's time for your second coat of top coat. And it really doesn't take that long, usually about 30 seconds or so, and then you can go in for your second coat. Now for the second coat, this is when you want to make sure that you are very detailed and that you get the entire nail covered. And remember to cap your free edge always. I'm just going to let you watch here for a little bit and I'll keep my mouth shut. All right, and we are so close to being done. I think it's so pretty. What do you guys think? So the last and final step after you are done with your beautiful mani is you want to make sure to show your cuticles some love. I cannot stress to you how important it is to make sure you put cuticle oil on your cuticles, and really you should be doing it a couple of times a day, but I know who has time. But at the very least, when you're done doing your nails and beating your cuticles up and showing them that you don't love them, really put a bunch of cuticle oil on, show them some love, take care of them, love them, and they will love you, because a healthy cuticle means healthy nails. So make sure you put cuticle oil on. I know, I'm totally cheesy, but I love cuticle oil and I lather this stuff on. I use more than is necessary. I know it, but I don't care. I love it. And I am using cuticle oil from Candi Skin Care. This is the orange scented. It smells so yummy. My favorite one from her, though, is the cotton candy scented. I love cotton candy. I'm a sucker for cotton candy. But both of these scents are awesome, and her cuticle oil is amazing. After you are done putting on your cuticle oil, let it soak in for just a little bit before rubbing it in. And then once you rub it in, enjoy your beautiful mani. Okay, that's also cheesy. But anyways, here we are. What do you guys think? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like it and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, you can leave those below. And I will also leave all of the products that I use in the description box below, so that if you guys want to recreate this mani, then you can. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.